Hello, everybody. We are absolutely live from the fabulous Texas Hill Country today. Welcome to our fabulous guest, Dr. Joe Vitale. If you're watching this, he probably needs no introduction. So, how are you doing today, Joe?
I'm glad you said this is live because I feel very much alive. And so I want this to be live. I know you're live. I see the big smile on your face. So
Absolutely.
let's bring life to everybody else.
All right. So, we're just getting live here, letting everybody get notified. Please type yes, if you can hear us well and see us well. We want to make sure that everybody is seeing and hearing us properly, like Gilderoy Lockhart in Harry Potter. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Well, I can see you and I can hear you. Just be
Awesome.
limited. It's what other
Awesome.
people say.
All right. So today, what we're doing is we are giving you a sample of the Zero Limits mentoring program and what we do on the first Wednesdays. Thank you very much, Marianne and Altif. Thank you very much. And what we do on the first Wednesdays of the Zero Limits mentoring program is we have an Ask Joe Anything session where you can actually ask Joe anything about anything. That's spirituality, Ho'oponopono, marketing, authorship, which I'm going to jump in front of the line here and do the first question. Let everybody get some answers typed in and some questions typed in. So, hello from Portugal. Yes, Ana Paula. Thank you. Athea, how you doing today? All right. From Russia, Tiger. Man, we got all over the world, Joe. That's the cool thing. I mean,
I
this is
love it.
so freaking cool.
I love it. I love those places too. I've been to Russia twice now. So it's nice to hear from people in Russia as well as
Yeah,
Portugal.
yeah, you were supposed to be in Russia this year doing like a world tour.
Yeah, and Portugal is supposed to do a couple events there.
We pivoted. So, hey, Tony from Alabama,
I've
India,
been,
good
I've been to
Lord,
Alabama,
Scotland, Italy.
Scotland.
There you go, Italy,
All
Luigi,
right, Italy.
Bill, Ruth. How y'all doing today? So, if you have ever had a question that you wanted to ask Joe, please type it into the chat window here. I am seeing these chats come in. Thank y'all so much from Cyprus and Argentina. Good Lord. How do I write a book that's a bestseller? Rosie, we're going to get you right there. One of the first questions we're going to do here, Joe, is the cool thing about Zero Limits. And, well, let me just ask you, Joe. We've been doing this for 2 years. What do you think the coolest thing about Zero Limits mentoring is before we have our first question?
Great question. All right. Well, I think I summed it up by saying there's a information. So we're giving people the information they need to write a book, for example, to open their own business, for example, to do the marketing that they need to do. We also talk in terms of getting clear of blocks. So there's a whole lot of information. So I say information is one leg of it. I would say inspiration is another leg of it. And the inspiration comes from you, Chuck. It comes from me. It comes from everybody in the group. What's really wonderful is that we inspire each other. And I don't mean just Chuck, and I don't mean just me, but I mean everybody in the group is a kind of a mastermind. And because we're a virtual mastermind and we are in a group experience, we can inspire each other. We can root each other on. We can cheer each other on, and we can be an ally and a resource for each other. So I'd say the second leg is the information. The third leg, and I think this is, well, they're all equally important. You need all three legs in order to create a stool that you can actually prop up and sit on. But the third leg would be action. It would be receiving that ignition of activity so that you go and use the information and act on the inspiration to get the results that you want. So for me, Chuck, the whole thing is a package deal. It's not just information. If it was only information, that's all over the place and it's not enough.
Right.
And inspiration, if it was only inspiration, if you didn't actually digest it, understand it, and act on it, that wouldn't be enough. and action or ignition is needed. But most people, without the information and without the inspiration, either don't take action or they take an action that doesn't get them where they want to go. So for me, Zero Limits Mentoring puts it all together, a nice package. What would you
Absolutely.
add or say? Or
Absolutely. I mean, and that's like catalyst. You know, people look at the law of attraction, and one of the questions is, why doesn't the law of attraction work for me? And that's a very common question we get. And that's the thing about this group, is that it's the catalyst. You know, it's kind of like chemistry more than like gravity. You know, there's laws of chemistry. You know, and so you take those three things, and the chemistry of those three things and the catalyst of inspired action just allows you to create a life of zero limits, which is what we're about here. We want you to live an empowered life, a life where you don't see limitation, lack, or you know, any sort of limitation, to where you can create the life that you desire. And that's different. I mean, that's different for everybody. And so that's another wonderful thing about this, is that everybody has their own path, and we meet you where you are in your path with ignition, information, and inspiration. And Joe, you are just over 35 years of doing this for people. It's just incredible, the amount of people that you've helped. And good Lord, the comments coming in are just amazing from all over the world. So I mean, you've had a worldwide, literal worldwide impact. You know, France, the Philippines, Greece, everywhere. And we see all your questions coming in, everybody. I'm going to go through those and pick a few out for Joe as we go through the next little bit here for you. And, you know, one of the things that we wanted to do, and I was sitting here before this call having a cup of coffee and sitting on my couch petting my dog, and I just wanted to ask the universe to give me and Joe what you need today. For everybody on this call, they have an intention, they have something they're going to want to get from this call. And before I go on stage at Joe's live events, and I know Joe does this, is we do a little request from the universe, a little prayer, so to speak. Hit me with what this crowd needs. Hit me with the information that somebody out there is going to use to change their life. So talk about that, Joe, and how powerful that is, just that little request, and how we can prepare all the notes. You know, we're going to talk a minute about a book we're going to write, and we haven't prepared on purpose. So you can prepare and all that stuff, but we do this ask. And what does that ask mean for you when you go on stage and when we do something like this?
basically, what I'm doing is stating an intention, because the intentions help align my body and mind to go in a particular direction. And when I state the intention that I want to be of service to people, part of that is an open ended question, kind of to the universe, to say, what does everybody need? It's not about me. It's not about me delivering something in particular. Certainly, I've written 80 some books. I have things I can deliver to people, messages and ideas and tips and all of this, but I need to know, what do the people want now? And so I'll put that out there as a kind of a question to the universe to get an answer, because my intention is to serve. I want to inspire people to go for and get their dreams. Now, the other part of that is I tell people to set intentions, like all the people that are on this call. You and I are making the time to do this, Chuck. We're not charging anything. This is free for everybody to get a sample of what Zero Limits Mentoring is all about. And one of the things I would encourage people doing that are watching right now is state an intention for yourself. What do you want to have, do, or be? What kind of result would you welcome into your life as a result of our few minutes together? We're not going to be here all day. We're going to be here 30 minutes or so. During this time, what would you like to receive? That's for you to answer for yourself. You don't have to tell either one of us, but if you know what it is and we have the intention to serve you, there'll probably be a match along the way. So
Absolutely.
that's the intention. And what's your intention to the group?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's to basically give what I can give to folks to be able to make a life that they want to live. I've had the great fortune to know Dr. Joe. I've known him for 15 years now. And through taking action, inspired action, and being inspired from folks like Joe, I was able to make a leap out of corporate America and make the leap that a lot of people want to do. And it takes a lot of guts to make those leaps spiritually, employer wise, job wise, making a new business. And especially in these days with all this crazy stuff going on, all the pivoting that's going on, we want to be able to give people confidence going forward that they can create a life that they desire, even when the world's crazy, even when the world looks weird and looks like it's going to hell in a handbasket. You are the one that makes your world for you. And have guitars behind me. Joe's got one, and we want to give you the ability to strum your guitar, to be able to tune your instrument, the instrument that is you, the system that is you. We want to be able to let you tune that, to program it to where it works for you, and you create an environment in your mind of zero limits. So anything I can do, that Joe can do for y'all today, that can help you do that in the time we have, that would be my intention, and that's always my intention for the group, for the calls, and for everything. So we're here today. We're asking some questions. We got a lot of great questions coming in, Joe. And one of the things we want to do is, of course, tell people about Zero Limits Mentoring. That's why we're here. ZeroLimitsMentoring.com. You can go there, sign up now. It's a free 14-day trial. And what you're going to get is help like this, what you're about to receive. So if you love this, if you like talking to me and Joe, you're going to love this program. And one of the things we're going to do, Joe, for the people that are in the program is, one of the questions here is, how do I write a book? How do I become an author? And that's an extremely common question we get. How do I start a business? How do I create authority? How do I create an audience? How do I create a business? Writing books is one of your methodologies for creating a business. 35 years, 80 plus books, bestsellers all over the place, star in the movie The Secret from your books. I mean, the Secret wouldn't have happened if you hadn't written, I think, The Attractor Factor, which is what got Rhonda Byrne interested in you. And so, a book can be a powerful thing. And, I want to write songs. I want to write books, be creative, do things. Now, we're going to do something crazy. Next Saturday on the 6th, Joe and I are going to address how to write a book. And we're going to do it in 2 hours. And we're going to do it live in front of you. So when you're a member of Zero Limits Mentoring, that event is only open to the Zero Limits Mentoring crew. And so you can go to Zero Limits Mentoring, sign up, and you're going to get this 2-hour live book writing session. And so, Joe, talk a little bit about writing a book live. I mean, we have purposely not, Joe doesn't know the questions. He doesn't know the outline. We're doing this fresh, live, and we want to show people that it's how to do it. So we're going to do this live on a Zoom call in 2 hours next week, right? A week from today, right now. So, Joe.
Yeah. So I want to make sure everybody understands that next Saturday experience on February 6th, I think you said at 1 p.m. Central Time, you and I are going to get on a call. And what we are doing is writing a book live. We are creating a book live. We want you to see how easy it is to actually be an author, how quickly you can create a book. And then after we do this, there'll be a second call where we explain the mechanics of how we get the book from what we did to create it to published form, where you can find it on Amazon. Because this is something you can model and you can do. And I have found that being an author is the most life-transforming thing you can do. First of all, for you personally, it will change your life, because to create a book is an act of nobility, and it is an act of discovery for yourself. Then when you're done, especially in business, you can use it as a product. Of course, you can sell it, but you can also leverage it, which is one of my favorite things to do. You can become an authority because of your book. You can get publicity because of your book, and you can turn that book into multiple streams of income. by creating an audio version of the book, by creating a course around the book, an event, a seminar, a video series. There's probably all kind of things that can be spin-offs from one book. But you need to have the one book. Now, Chuck mentioned I've written 80 some books. That's what I've done on my own. Some books I've co-authored, and I've helped hundreds, if not thousands of people to become authors. And the inside joke is if people hang around me for any amount of time, I will see a book in them. I will tell them I see a book in them. And if they allow me, I will encourage them to come out with their book. I have made all of my friends that are close to me authors. I've made family authors. I've told the story of how I made my father an author when he was 90 years old. And I'm going to quickly tell you that story because it's another way to create a book. And I want you to see just how easy it is to do this if you know how, because most people think you have to sit at the typewriter and bleed, which is what Ernest Hemingway said writing was: sit at the typewriter and bleed. But no, there's other ways to make this easy and almost effortless. My father never really wrote anything, and he certainly never wrote a book, but he was a great storyteller. And he would tell stories after stories, and some of them were most hilarious stories. They were riveting stories, and he told them so often, he had them down pat. He had them rehearsed. And so I said, Dad, why don't you record those stories? Because they could end up being a book. And he was a little resistant. He didn't feel he had the time. He didn't really know how to do it. But I bought him a cassette player. He didn't know anything about computers or CDs, but I got him a cassette player, showed him how to push the record button, got him some blank tapes, and said, just start talking. And for the next few months, every morning he'd get up, he'd do his workout, then he'd wander over to his desk, he'd push the record, and he'd start talking. After a few months, one day I got a box from my father that was a cassette player and 90-minute cassettes and a note. And the note was, I had recorded those stories you wanted. Well, I had those audios transcribed. I had the transcription put into a Word document. I then read it, organized it, had an editor tweak it and tighten it up, created a cover for the book, used the Amazon print on demand system, all of which Chuck and I will explain to you as we go into this process. And then on my father's 90th birthday, I flew to Ohio, and there's a YouTube video of this moment. And I said, Dad, do you remember those tapes you sent me? And he said, yes. And I said, well, Dad, I took those tapes and I turned them into your first book. And it's his autobiography. And it's about the most contented man. And it was the first time I had ever seen my father, remember, he's 90 years old, speechless. And his face turned red. And he was beyond moved. And later he became an author at 91, another author at 92, and he passed away by 93, all because I showed him how to do it. The point is, if you're thinking that writing a book is a long, hard, bloody process, it's true, it can be. That's one way to write a book. But there are other ways to get books created. I probably know all of them, if not almost all of them, created some of them. And what Chuck and I are going to do is something entirely different. We want you to tune in next Saturday and you will watch a book being created. It's a book that has been in, Chuck, for a long time. And do you want me to say the title, Chuck, or do you
Absolutely.
want to say?
Absolutely.
It's the 5 questions. And I've been intrigued by the 5 questions without knowing the 5 questions because the title just kind of lends itself to curiosity. What in the world are the 5 questions? And Chuck has told me that this is, the essence of all decisions, beginning from about birth. But I don't know anything about the questions. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know the philosophy behind this. I don't know the psychology behind this, but I know and trust Chuck. And so I said, why don't we do this live? He will teach me the questions. I will ask about the questions. And out of this improvisational trek and adventure, because neither one of us know where this is going to go, we will record all of it. And that will be the essence of a book called The 5 Questions. So we're going to do this live next Saturday, and you can watch. You can only watch, though, if you're a member of Zero Limits Mentoring. And the good news is Zero Limits Mentoring is free for the first 14 days, which carries you right through our book
Right.
creation process.
Right. And so we've done that. We've been doing Zero Limits for 2 years. There's all the replays, so you can get in, check all that out. But yeah, it's free to check it out. So that's what we want to do. We want to be able to help you for free. And that's everybody on the call that's saying, okay, I want to do a business. I want an information business. I want to be like Joe. This is being Joe. This is helping before, it's building know, like, and trust by actually helping people. It's by getting online, by giving value first, by building know, like, and trust before you start asking for the transaction, for the money, for the other side of the business. And so we go through all that. And so there's a lot of crazy stuff out there on the internet, and we go through all that in the program. But the 5 questions, Joe, they're 5 yes or no questions. And we talked a little bit about that the other day, is there's no hee-haw on these questions. I've been a systems guy for 25 years. I've worked with Joe and known Joe for 15 years. And so for me, when I hit a spiritual question or a spiritual, or a sort of a theory, I have to sort of couch it in systems for myself. When we do what we love and do what we do for a living, we sort of filter our view through that. So for me, I'm a systems guy. Everything I look at is a system. I mean, I instantly start breaking down stuff into systems and ifs and that's and the most least common denominators I can find. And Joe, you're an author, so everything that you see is author and marketing.
Mm-hmm.
If you lay carpets, you instantly look at a room and go, that's 400 square feet. Right. If you're a mechanic. So we see things and we build these filters for ourselves. And that's kind of the base of the 5 questions, is how do we build those filters? How do we build belief systems? And how do we not mess with symptoms of our lives and get back to the root of what causes the belief systems that cause those symptoms? So it's going to be a really fun journey. And Joe, thank you for doing it. First off, that's going to be real cool. And the other thing we're going to do is do a follow-up call about repurposing all of this. Joe said leveraging, repurposing, how you do all this. We will use this video that we're making right here today for promotion in the long term. We'll strip out the audio and make maybe podcasts out of it. We'll strip out the text and make ad content out of the text. Use this video with that. And Joe has a video editor. We send him just crud tons of raw video, and he reimagines them into montages, which are ways that I wouldn't have thought about them. Joe didn't think about them, but this guy's like takes this new approach and creates recontented videos out of videos that Joe's making. So the process of seeing this, and that's the one thing I really love about working with Joe amongst everything else, is Joe will teach you how to do a business while he's doing his business, show you how he does the business by doing the things in his business. This is going live, helping people, putting out, I mean, I posted, I don't know, 30, 40 videos for just the next couple of weeks, and I got 200 sitting waiting for me to do. So this kind of stuff, is what we do in the class. It's what we're going to do next Saturday by showing you how to write a book for free. I mean, I tell you, you cannot get, I mean, if you had to pay for this class, Joe, how much would you charge for a book writing class? I mean, if we were to put a live event on a weekend and say, here's Joe Vitale's authorship class, you charge $197, $297, $597, $997 for a whole weekend of Joe Vitale teaching you how to write and manufacture books and how to use them from the master. I don't know who else you could find that could teach you any better. So,
and what you and I are doing, particularly next Saturday, I don't know that anybody else has done it this way. So this is a breakthrough, and we're demonstrating this innovative process, and again, free to everybody that's in Zero Limits Mentoring, as a way to help all of them. And also, I want to point out that what Chuck and I have been doing right now, and especially during the part where I was describing the book and how we were going to go into the process of creating it through questions and answers, that's may be the introduction to the book. We may take that audio out of this right out of this particular live moment and go, oh, that's actually a great introduction to the book because we explain the book and how we're creating the book. So let's take that out. We would transcribe it. And then later, after next Saturday, when we actually have the meat of the book, we'll slap this part in as the introduction to the book. So we're kind of like creating a puzzle and going, well, here's piece number 1. Let's put it over there. We're going to use it with piece number 2 next Saturday. So we're demonstrating the process, and with alertness and taking some notes, you can follow and do this yourself.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so funny you say that, Joe, because I was like, okay, when I do the little introduction to the book, I may use that, strip it out, and use it for the introduction of the book.
Right. That works.
So, I mean, that's the cool thing. It's like when you play in bands, you have conversations that you don't even have to talk about. And Joe, I mean, I feel like just right there, it's like being in a band. It's like we didn't even have to talk about that, and we knew that's what we would be doing.
Right.
So that's the level of thought that you can get to when you start doing this yourself. When you start working with your partners and your people, you get to a level to where you're going, oh, okay, boom, 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 boom. I just pull these pieces, and it starts to make a whole lot more sense to you when you see people doing it, when you see how easy it is, because it gets confusing. Lots of widgets, lots of moving pieces, but that's what we do in Zero Limits. Is Joe and I have been doing this for a long time. We can shortcut your learning curves by years. We can save you thousands of dollars in time and effort by sequencing these things in the right order, telling you what to concentrate on when and what not to concentrate on, not to get jacked up by flashy, blinky object syndrome and all those sorts of things. So we are really excited about this process. And like I said, we're going to show you the mechanics behind it as well. So we're not just going to have a book. And like I said, it's a mindset course, it's an authorship course, and it's a repurposing course. All 3 different courses taught at the same time. And that's another thing that Joe and I like to do, is teach multiple things at once. So it's like, we're not just teaching you one thing, we're teaching you 3 different things in the same process. And we're doing that for free. And we're doing that for free because we want to show you value. We want to give you tools and processes that you can actually use in your business, in your life, to do those things, and so this process in and of itself, we're using StreamYard to go live here. There's lots of things that you can do to go live. You can get a guest, ask them, you send them a link. Basically, I set up this meeting. I sent Joe a link. Joe clicked on the link. Joe's video showed up on my screen. I added him to this, and here we are. So, I mean, it's really, once you kind of get that process down, it takes a couple of minutes. But the first time you do it, you're like, oh, I'm going live. Oh, I'm going to be on video. I got stuff reflecting in my glasses. People are going to think I'm weird. And so you just break the seal. You lean into it. You just do it, And Joe, you have a thing, Teddy Roosevelt, start with where you are, where you're at, right where you're at in your shoes. And talk a little bit about that. And I'm going to scroll through and grab a couple of questions here. And we're going to answer a couple of questions like we do on the Zero Limits live calls.
Okay, so a couple of things I want to also point out.
Absolutely.
Chuck and I have been talking about here can also be the sales letter for the 5 questions book. So in other words, we're talking around the book, we're talking about the book, but we're not saying what the book has in it because we haven't actually made the book. But when you stop and look right now, all of what he and I have been talking about could be transcribed, and with a little bit of massage can be the sales letter. So we can put a website up. We can use a lot of this video, which means the sales letter is partially done already. So it's another thing to keep in mind that there's all kind of hacks and shortcuts that are available, and maybe you just need them pointed out to you, much like I'm pointing it out to you now. The other thing I want to point out is that ZeroLimitsMentoring.com has a lot more in it than just the information, the inspiration, the fellowship, the encouragement to take action, is that you can get virtually all of your questions answered. That first Wednesday of the month is when people ask me something, and we're going to give you a sample of what's that like in a minute. because Chuck's going to read some of the questions and I'll respond to them, which is pretty much what the first Wednesday is always about. But the other ones that Chuck is on by himself, he fields those questions, and he often fields the ones that are about marketing, digital commerce, how to build your website, how to drive traffic to your website. A lot of the behind the scenes marketing that's done for me, he will reveal all of that. So there is so much more than even what we're talking about right now. We just wanted to give you a taste, and we want to help you. And so the focus right now is we're doing a book next Saturday. Come join us. The only thing you have to do is join zerolimitsmentoring.com. And the good news, it's free for 14 days. And yes, just to be transparent, if you stay beyond 14 days, there is a monthly membership fee. It's not much at all, but we're not charging you anything up front, so that the first 14 days is for you to really get a feel for, is this going to help you? And if it does, stay. If you feel like you're not getting how to write your book or anything else that you can wander around and learn about, then of course, Godspeed to you and go on your way. But we want you to give it a fair shake. So go to zerolimitsmentoring.com. Meanwhile, Chuck, what do you got?
Absolutely. I just wanted to add one thing real quick. For those of you who don't know me, I am one of the guys that works on Joe's behind the scenes stuff. I'm a web guy. I write a lot of the copy. I've worked with Joe for 12 years in the back end of his business. So if you've ever wondered how Joe does what he does on the back end of the processes, I'm one of the people that does that. So you're going to get the curtain pulled back, and I will be very honest and reveal exactly what works, what doesn't work, what we're doing now, what currently works, and can reveal to you anything and everything you want to know about how Joe does what he does, just about. So the other thing is that, let's see. Okay, this is a common question, Joe. Joe, being a law of attraction expert, it would be the secret. We get a lot of, how do I use the law of attraction to help me do X? Get a job, make more money, get new relationships. So, Joe, what is your basic answer to how do you make the law of attraction work? Because there's another question down here. It's like, how, law of attraction doesn't work for me. And that's a real common thing. Hey, I tried it. I tried it for 15 minutes. I threw some flour and sugar in a bowl and stirred, and now I'm surprised I don't have a cake.
That's the equivalent of it. Well, yeah. First of all, we get these questions and they're real in our Zero Limits mentoring group. We spend quite a bit of time answering them. And between Chuck and myself, we're very thorough. I'm going to give a little bit of a clipped answer, a little shorter answer, just so I can get through a few questions and you get a real sense of what the questions are and the kind of answers we give. But always the focus for Chuck and I is to help you, to serve you, to be sure you understand, be sure you can actually use this and take it to the bank. All right. So the law of attraction, will it help me in my new job in real estate? Absolutely. Because the law of attraction is already working for people, but it's working in a way that they're unconscious to the mechanics of it. And unfortunately, movies like The Secret, as popular as they are, and how wonderful that they introduce the law of attraction to the world, they don't completely explain it. And so people have a very kindergarten or first grade view of how the law of attraction works. They barely understand the fundamentals, so they don't really know how to implement them. But the law of attraction is already working, but it's working on your subconscious beliefs that are coupled with your intense emotions. And what that means is your brain responds to visuals, and it responds to emotions, and it responds to repetition. So you're already doing that, but most likely you're doing it about the things you're worried about, which is like praying for what you don't want, or the things that you're doubtful about, or the things that you are afraid of. We do that because we're very much into survival. And that's automatic and that's hardwired into our lives. But when you become more conscious, when you become more aware, you start to realize that you can choose what you look at. So you can choose the visual, like this person is in real estate. This person could imagine that they're making more sales, they're writing up more orders, they're cashing more checks, or wiring more money is coming into their account. As they imagine that, they can feel the love, the passion, the gratitude, the joy for that experience. And then if they do it repeatedly, you hardwire the new message into your brain. So this is a very, very short answer to the question, can you use the law of attraction in my new job, in this particular case in real estate? Yes, you can use law of attraction for virtually anything, and certainly for any new job, and certainly for real estate.
Yes, I mean your good friend Andres Pira, homeless to billionaire. I mean, he
Yep.
started in a very interesting way using the law of attraction, trying to prove it wrong. The guy sent him a book, one of your books, and he goes, "I don't need a book. I need freaking money, man." And so he read the book. He was so angry, pissed. He's like, "Man, I'm going to prove this stuff wrong." And he ended up proving it right and became a billionaire in real estate. So
Andres Pires is the largest real estate developer in southern Thailand. And he was homeless 16 years ago. And as Chuck was pointing out, he was given a book which was about the law of attraction. And he reluctantly and skeptically started to apply it. And because he did it so reluctantly and skeptically, it took him a long time to get it to fall into gear. But at this point, Andres is 36 years old and
yeah,
he is a billionaire with a B. And I helped him write the book, which explains all of this. It's on Amazon. It's called, in fact, the person who, Anna, is it, who asked about the real estate, you should read Homeless to Billionaire. He's in real estate, Homeless to Billionaire. You can find it on Amazon.
and he talks about the fueling of the law of attraction catalyst with emotion. And I heard you talk about
Yes.
that on the video. I was posting those videos, came across that. And he's one of the ones that says you got to fuel this stuff with passion, with why. Your big why. Another question that comes up is, I'm unmotivated, da 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 da. How do I keep it going? You have to have fuel. You have to have like a burning sun inside of you that makes you go through anything. Winston Churchill says, when you're in hell, keep going. You have to have the passion, the fire, the burning intensity. There are a few reasons that I have that I do what I do that if I start talking about them, I will burn you with the passion that comes from it. Joe has that same thing. If you get into a couple of conversations in the right place with Joe, he'll burn your soul with the passion that he has for this. And that's the kind of sun energy. And the law of attraction in general, I think people misconceive that it works sometimes and doesn't sometimes. It's always working. It's harmony. It's like, what are you in harmony with? If you're in harmony with fear, lack, hatred, that's going to filter your mind that way. And that's what you're going to see and it's what you're going to get. If you look through eyes of love, hear through ears of love, hear and feel with compassion and gratitude and love, it's amazing how that turn of the screw will make your world 180-degree different place. And it doesn't require anything in your life changing. It's all about your perception of what's happening. So the law of attraction works, and yes, it can work in a lot of different places. And so another thing that we get, Joe, and that's what I love about Joe, is he's spiritual and money. He's, spiritual and marketing. He's, so I mean, the cross pollination of ideas that you get from Joe and in Zero Limits is amazing. Like, how can we create income using Ho'oponopono? I mean, that's money mindset. That's spiritual mindset. So, I joke, so there you go.
Yeah, and I like talking about both of those. And of course, I've written lots of books on that. I wrote Attract Money Now. I wrote The Awakened Millionaire. I wrote, what did I write? Money, Love, Speed. The Secret to Attracting Money just recently came out. And all of these have a spiritual and material side to them, because I don't talk about just the spiritual, I don't talk about just the material. I think both of them are two sides of the same coin. And so, with the person, Bavini, is that how you pronounce your name? She
Abini?
says, how can we create more income using Ho'oponopono? Ho'oponopono is a Hawaiian spiritual method for clearing your perceptions of whatever the baggage is, whatever the limiting beliefs are, whatever. In Ho'oponopono terms, we use the word data, what data is around whatever the subject is. Money is pretty loaded for almost everybody, meaning that we have a lot of data. Most of the time, we think money's bad, we think money's evil, we think money's corrupt or corrupting, we think money's scarce, we think money is a limitation. All of those things, and that's the tip of the iceberg, is what you use Ho'oponopono on. So what we're doing when we say the four phrases, and I'm saying this, there may be some people who don't know what Ho'oponopono is. I wrote 3 books now on it: Zero Limits, At Zero, and the new book is called The Fifth Phrase. And it's basically about saying 4 phrases inside yourself to your connection to divinity. And it's kind of a prayer, it's kind of a request to clear the baggage, the limiting beliefs, the data that might be bogging you down, or in this case, keeping money away. And the 4 phrases, I'm wearing a t-shirt that has them in Italian, but they say, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Those are the 4 phrases, and you cycle through them, say them in any order. You don't say them to anybody else, or you don't need to say them out loud. It's an internal conversation with your connection to the great something, God, divinity. And so, how can we create more income using Ho'oponopono? You clear and clean using the Ho'oponopono prayer on your feelings around money. So, as you think about money right now, if it feels like it's a struggle, it's like, where's the money? I can't get it. I'm doing everything, but it's not showing up. It's that feeling of frustration, that feeling of a problem that you want to clean on, because you want to be at a place of serenity, of peace, of neutrality when it comes to money. If you're thinking about money and all of these thoughts about not enough, or I wish I had some, or so and so has it and I don't, and so I'm jealous, with any of these things that keep you from being at peace with money, is what you use Ho'oponopono on. And the more you can use Ho'oponopono on money, the more you can, in Ho'oponopono terms, erase what's preventing it from coming to you. I'll say one more thing. Arnold Patton, who's been one of my favorite authors, he said, we don't create abundance, we create limitation. We don't create abundance, we create limitation. So what Ho'oponopono does is help us erase the limitations. When we erase the limitations, we're back to, well, the word zero for our whole program here, Zero Limits. We're back to zero. And the zero means we don't have any judgments about money. We're zero in terms of our perceptions around money, which means we can have it, we can welcome it, we can enjoy it, and we can share it and leverage it and everything else that we can do with it.
Yeah, I mean, money doesn't care about you. You care about money. And my dad told me a story one time. I was worried about, my boss and everything. And it was the weekend and we were having lunch. I was like, Dad, I'm worried about this, worried about that, my job. He's like, let me ask you something. He goes, is your boss sitting there worrying about this right now? It's like, no, probably not. He's probably playing golf. He's probably enjoying himself. He goes, there you go. So, what happens is we worry and put these things in our mind. And Ho'oponopono, for me, being a systems guy, is like mind code. And that's the really cool thing about Ho'oponopono, is it's 4 lines that you already know them. It's not like you have to remember some Sanskrit mantra or do some hoopty doopty dance. It's I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Oh, I can remember that. That's easy. So, I mean, if you can associate that clearing and that mind code and install that as a piece of code in your mind, it's like a maintenance routine. You defrag your hard drives, you clean up programs that are running that shouldn't be running, that are taking up too much memory in your systems. And so you run these maintenance programs just to clean and clear. Showering, eating, it's the cyclical things of life. That's what Ho'oponopono is for me, is just a brilliant clearing maintenance routine that's always running. Our minds are so incredible. I mean, you can throw a thread of your mind off and say, go work on this, go clean this energy for me. And it's sitting there just chewing away in the background, and you can go about your daily business, and Ho'oponopono is sitting there running. And that's the cool thing for me. Like Joe, you say, it's kind of running in your background of your mind all of the time now. You wake up, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Go to sleep, I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you. So, I mean, it's like it becomes so routine that you wake up saying it, you go to sleep saying it, it becomes part of your mind. And Harry, be happy. We always talk about being more in the meditative state more often than not. So I check out of my meditative state long enough to have a coherent conversation here with Joe and everybody on the call, but pretty much I'm meditating in the background. I'm asking for things to come to me right now that everybody needs here. And so that thread is running. And so clear the energy of anything I'm going to say to you right now and make it clean and clear for you to receive it today. And so that to me is the beautiful thing about Ho'oponopono, is its efficiency and its accessibility, to be perfectly honest. And when you
Beautiful.
do Ho'oponopono, it clears the filters for you. And so one of the next things, mechanics, everybody wants to know behind the scenes. Joe, what do you do every day? How do you maintain this ability to inspire and be Joe Vitale every day? You personally and professionally. What's your morning and evening routine? Do you do something specific, spiritual or mentally? And Leonardo, it's a great question.
It
Everybody wants to
is.
know the stuff.
And I appreciate that, Leonardo. That I appreciate you even curious about what I do. I have to reflect on it because every day in general is different, but we're currently in a pandemic. So things like my travel and the speaking engagements and being on stage and preparing for all of that worldwide activity, that's all gone. So I, like probably everybody watching, have been asked to stay at home and take the precautions so that we can be safe in a healthy way. So I am an author. So every day I write, every day I read, every day I meditate, every day I give thanks. I would say in the mornings is a very quiet time for me. I was raised to get up early, and I mean 5 in the morning. Today I was up at 4 in the morning. That's earlier than what I would like, but in general I'm up at 5 in the morning. Almost never 6 in the morning, because that would be considered too late. The morning to me is sacred. The morning to me is quiet. The morning to me is when I can, to tell you the truth, to commune with God, to be receptive. I will very often state a request. I wrote a book called The Secret Prayer. And in The Secret Prayer, I said there's a 3-step formula that's a prayer that I think will work for everybody. And in The Secret Prayer, I said I begin with gratitude. And so when I get up in the morning, I'll begin with gratitude. I'm glad to be alive and breathing and feeling good. And I just turned 67. And by God, I'm full steam ahead, full of joy and full of projects and full of passion and got things to do. So my secret prayer begins with that gratitude. The second part will be a request because there's things that are intentions for me. They're goals. They're whether it's a book I want to write, I still want a movie to be done on Zero Limits, the whole Ho'oponopono story. And I have a couple different versions of television shows that I want to get done. And I have other books, including one about the last 2.5 years that I've gone through. I want to get it finished, get it published, would love to see it become a New York Times bestseller or something even better. So I'll make my request. And then the third thing in the secret prayer, which is what I do in the morning, is to make a list of what I'm going to do today. What are my to-dos for today? In other words, what are my inspired actions? And so a whole lot of that is taking place in the morning. Throughout the later part of the day, I'm going to find time to write. These days, I'm making more videos than I ever made before. And if you're not following me on Instagram, I would suggest you do, because I think I post 1 to 2 times a day on Instagram. And I'm Dr. Joe Vitale there, Dr. Joe Vitale. So you can find me pretty easily. So I'm making videos almost every day. I make the videos right on my phone right here. Make the videos, just talk to the camera. A minute later, I'm done with the video and I'll post it. I read every day. I held up some books the other day for Chuck to see, but that's only, there's 2 or 3 stacks sitting here. And
That's
that's
just the latest Amazon delivery.
yeah, Amazon knows me. Amazon, you know why Amazon is so successful is I've been buying from them for 20 years.
Right.
We started in the beginning and we thought they were a joke. Um, I smoke cigars, but cigars are not only relaxing to me, but they are a gratitude meditation. And sometimes with a cigar, it's one of the few times where I'm completely away from my phone, completely away from my computer, and completely away from most distractions. In nicer weather, right now it's chilly in Texas, but in nicer weather, I would be in a hot tub or I would be in a pool with my cigar. And I'm talking to the divine again, usually inventorying what I'm grateful for. So I think that's a general overview. I do like movies, but don't watch them every day. I don't think I watch any television, TV shows. There might be a rare one here and there. So that's Leonardo. That's a general overview.
Yeah, musical outlets, and if I could give, I mean, studying you and digesting your work, Joe, putting it up on websites, editing, going through all the videos and stuff. One of everybody wants to know the silver bullet and the shortcut, to being Joe Vitale or having this mindset. And generally, I kind of shy away from the argument of a silver bullet just because everybody is so different. The things that work for some won't work for others. But I can tell you the one thing, if I could say, given as much of your work as I've digested, the one silver bullet, if there is one, is gratitude.
Mm.
Love.
Mm.
To be able to find whatever in your mind so that you can vibrate love, gratitude, and express that. That to me is the self-help sort of silver bullet that it got me through. I mean, that when I fell apart, everybody falls apart in weird different places. I fell apart in the middle of a golf course one day.
Mm.
And there was a thing in my mind. It wasn't my voice that said, "You don't know how to have fun anymore. You don't know how to be grateful." And it just hit me like I was like, "Holy crap!" I had the money. I was by myself on a country club golf course, which is one of my favorite things to do. The solitude of being alone on a very nice golf course is soothing to me. And I'd taken off work early because my crew was doing my jobs and everything was handled. It was a Thursday afternoon. I remember it vividly, about 3 o'clock. I should have been at work. I had the luxury of being on a country club golf course at 3 o'clock on a Thursday, and I couldn't find gratitude. It was a dark, weird place, man. And that to me, I mean, it's like came in and shone light where there was darkness. I mean, it was the love, the gratitude is what literally turned my life around. And the thing about that, Joe, is nothing in my life changed.
Mm.
None of the physical crap changed. Still lived in the same house, had the same job, drove the same car, had the same money, blah, blah, blah. Check, 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 check. Nothing changed. But then all of a sudden, I was 180 degrees different one day. And I can tell you that love and gratitude is that silver bullet for me. And so that's
Beautiful.
whatever you can do to get there. So, Joe, you you find books in people, you find products in people, and so Rosie's asking, what is the best way to monetize my God-given natural gifts that I might not even know I have? Do what you love and have money. So that's another thing in zero limits. People like I worked in 20 years in a corporate life that wasn't satisfying. And so now get to do what I want to do. I get to work with Joe. I get to have fun. I get to relax and not be in traffic. And so there was and Joe inspired me to find those gifts that I had laying around that I didn't really know were there and could be used for what they used for. So Joe, how do people find that in themselves?
Yeah, it's a great question. And Rosie, thank you for putting it in there because a lot of people, that's the other thing in Zero Limits mentoring. You may have a question, and when you ask it, a whole lot of other people had the question and didn't have the courage to post it or didn't think to post it. So,
Right.
by your posting the question, you're helping not only yourself, but a lot of other people. And that's what happens in Zero Limits mentoring every month, all the time. So the best way to monetize your God-giving natural gifts is first of all to know what the gifts are. And sometimes you have to not only do some soul searching, but sometimes get somebody to mirror back to you, to reflect back to you what your strengths are because you may not see them. And very often, it's been my experience that we don't usually appreciate ourselves. We dismiss ourselves, we overlook our own gifts. We may naturally, inadvertently, or from self sabotage, just not see them. And this is why it's good to be in a group. Zero Limits Mentoring is a group, or it's good to get a sense, a perception from somebody like Chuck or myself, or a coach or mentor that you might work with. So, right now, I would say you need to look in the mirror and say, what do you love to do? And I think that's the thing to look at first. And the thing to answer is, what do you love to do to the extent that you would do it, no matter if you got paid or not? That's the turning point question. It doesn't matter if you get paid, you would still do it. For example, I love writing so much, I would do it whether I got paid or whether I got published. It's the same with reading. I love reading so much. Well, nobody's essentially paying me to read anyway, but I'm going to keep reading because I love doing it. But as I read, I get ideas. Those ideas end up being videos, or they end up being blog posts, or they end up being articles, enough books in a particular category, and end up writing a book of my own in that category. In fact, I mentioned The Secret Prayer. I read, I don't know, a couple hundred books on praying, which ended up with me discovering, well, I think this is the way to pray. I came up with my own version, which is called The Secret Prayer. The other thing to look at is, I don't play the lottery, and I understand it really went up recently. I think it was almost $1 billion. And you got to stop and go, $1 billion. Most of us can't even imagine that. We have no concept of what $1 billion is. But when the lottery goes up, hundreds of $1 million, $500,000, $1 billion, I usually tell people, why don't you use it as a prosperity exercise and ask yourself, if you won that much money, what will you do? Now, obviously, the first thing most people are going to do, they're going to pay off their debts and might give some money to family, friends, create some sort of trust. They'll go shopping, they'll buy a couple cars, houses, who knows? They'll go around the world a couple times. Yeah, but after that, when you're done having fun and you find out that you can't really spend all that much money, not $1 billion, what would you do? Because your answer to what would you do when money's not an object for you, it's not a concern, it's not a worry, and it's not a carrot, what would you do? The answers you give to these questions, Rosie and everybody else, is a clue to what you can be doing as your gift to the world. Then the other part of this, there was a teacher years ago, I understand he's gone now, his name was Stuart Wilde. And Stuart Wilde really influenced me in the 80s. And I was lucky enough to do an event with him. And I was lucky enough to interview him. And Stuart Wilde was from Australia and had this kind of wicked sense of humor. And he said, in general, when people show up, build them. When people show up, fill them. which means once you know what your God-given natural gift is, and you start actually exuding it and demonstrating it and putting the word out there that you do such and such, and people show up, build them, which means honor yourself. You need money to live in the world. And go back to that first question, I think was the very first question we had, which was about money, and realize money's neutral. Money is like saying, my pen is bad. I might be able to stab you with the pen, or I might be able to write a check with the pen. It's not the pen, it's the guy using the pen. And it's the same with money. Money can be used for some things that I think everybody agreed might be bad, or money can be used for some things that everybody might agree are good. You get to choose. So it's not the money, it's your attitude towards the money and your decisions about the money. So once you make peace with money and you realize money is a pretty cool tool that virtually everybody on the planet agrees on and can exchange, then you just add that to your God-given talent, whatever it happens to be for you, and do what Stuart Wilde said. They show up for a massage, or they show up for your, I don't know, the artistic thing that you do for them, and then you present the bill to them. You're honoring them, and in case you need to know, very few people in the world honor things that are absolutely given free. They are usually dismissed because they think there's no real value in it. That's, it's a general rule of thumb, but it might help you charge for those people when they show up.
Yeah, I mean, my mom always had this saying when I was a kid: your attitude will make you or break you. And it's that fun, it's, I don't know if my mom ever knew that she taught me that, but I mean, that was just one of the little things she said. It's like whenever I got like little snotty attitudes, she was like, attitude's going to make you or break you. So, so it's how you frame your mind, how you look at things is absolutely key. And that's one of the things we're going to do in this book, Joe. I mean, that's the 5 questions. There's a kernel of the operating system, of the human operating system. It's like the moment energy hits a system, like our phones, our computers, the moment they start firing up as themselves, there's a kernel. It's like the seed, the mustard seed. It's the kernel of everything that grows from that point forward. And that's where we're going to discuss, and that's where we talk about the 5 questions, because that's where I like to operate, is at that kernel, at the core. Because if you can change the kernel and the core, everything that grows is different.
I'm fascinated. I can't wait. I can't wait for next Saturday. I tell you, you use these analogies, you drop these seeds like it's the kernel. It's where all the energy comes into that opening dot, and that's where the first question and answer. And I'm like, tell me more. I want to know.
Find out. You got to wait 7 days, Joe. We'll be right in the middle of it a week from now. We'll be straight right up in the middle of it right now.
Yeah. Well, I'm very intrigued. All kidding aside, I'm truly intrigued. And as a reminder, because we're going to stop this in a minute, we just wanted to give people a sample of the questions and answers, that we're doing the book creation live next Saturday. But you have to be a member of ZeroLimitsMentoring.com. Good news is it is free for 14 days, which carries you right through the experience of watching us create this book live. So for us, it's a win-win. And for me in particular, because I'm the one finding out what the 5 questions are. And it's going to be a book that's co-authored by Chuck and I, because we're doing this together.
Yeah, I mean, and Joe, man, I mean, I sometimes can't believe how little we're charging for Zero Limits in general. So after the trial period, it's only $19 a month.
Yeah, I thought it was even more than that. I thought it was twice that.
Well, yeah, I may be in trouble. Well, that's what I've said, dude, we are charging way too little for this. I've brought it up a couple of times, and Joe's kind of like, no, let's keep it, because Joe wants to help. Joe, if you were to, we do miracles masterminds. I've been on those. They're $5,000 and $10,000 a piece. You get Joe all day. You're talking, multiples of that. So this is the easiest, most cost-effective way to work with Dr. Joe. And if you've ever wanted to be in a program where Joe is directly mentoring you and you can ask Joe whatever you want to about anything. This is the program to do it. And you're right, we may raise the price, but I mean, it's ridiculous. You not only get Joe for that, you get me on the other two. And like I said, I'm Joe's tech guy or one of them, and we throw back the curtain on whatever you want to know from a skill set and mindset. When Joe and I created this program, we said, okay, we want to do both sides of the equation, everything and anything we can put in there. And it even goes to like this question Tiger's asking Joe: how do we sign up for Amazon print on demand and not get rejected? And we're not going to go too much into detail on this because this is the kind of mechanical question that we handle on the second and third Wednesdays of the Zero Limits mentoring. We take care of all those mechanics. I show you how to do it. And part of the cool thing about this, the 5 questions book writing project, is we're going to show you this. We're going to show you how the editing process works. We're going to show you, I mean, I'm going to go in and record what I'm actually doing to make this book happen. We're going to step you through all those processes, and you're going to see it from the very instant it starts to the very instant it gets sold and published on Amazon. So we're going to walk you through all that.
It's a great question, Tiger. But as Chuck just said, we are going to do this. We're going to do this live so you can see us do it. And we're going to explain to you, because once the 5 questions is done as a result of next Saturday, we will put it on Amazon as using their print on demand service. So we'll walk you through all of that, and then you'll be able to go to Amazon and you'll see the book listed there. And if you wanted to buy it, you'll be able to buy it there. So we are going to break that down for you and everybody else.
All right. And I am just scrolling through to get one last question, Joe. I mean, I've got to say, we've got hundreds of questions in here. And just like in the Zero Limits program, a lot of them repeat themselves. You know, a lot of them are the same. And over 2 years of doing this, we've categorized. As a matter of fact, for the first 2 years, I categorized all the questions in one document. And so they flush out to be in about 12 different categories. You know, how do I make LOA work? What's Ho'oponopono and how does that work? How do I get my money mindset correct? How do I make a business? How do I actually charge for money or charge for services and be comfortable with that? That's a huge freaking question, dude. I mean, the ability to say, I want money for my services, that's a huge leap for people. And we address those sorts of things and how to get past, you know, asking for money for your services. So,
and part of the answer to that is realizing you're worth it. To realize that you are giving something or charging or doing some sort of service and you're getting paid for it because you delivered and it was your time and you deserve it. So a lot of charging money is about self-worth and appreciating yourself so that other people will appreciate you.
all right. We're going to take one last statement here.
All
and
right.
I think so. What is the key to clear using Ho'oponopono? And I think that kind of goes back. The it's a little bit Vicky. It's a little bit worded oddly, but Ho'oponopono. When you said we can't know point, what is the key to clear using Ho'oponopono? And for me, I mean, I go back to gratitude. I go back to it's a tuning fork to create a filter of love and gratitude. And that's the point of clearing, is that through Ho'oponopono gets you back to the core. It gets you back to your general feeling of love, gratitude, hopefulness, and that there's abundance in life of everything, of money, of the ability, of opportunity, of your ability to change. So I guess that's in a general question. What's the point of clearing? What's the point of being grateful? What's the point? What's the point of taking, we all go to the gym and we give credence. Joe, that's another aspect of your life. Body workouts. You've got no doubt that you can curl a weight and your biceps going to get bigger. And everybody goes, yeah, that happens. You get on a treadmill and you run and your heart and your lungs get stronger. And they go, yeah, that happens. And yet when they go to operate in their mind and in the spiritual world, all that kind of like falls apart and gets all ethereal and weird. And it's like, no, this is an activity. This is a thing that you actually do. And it puts thought and, are we our thoughts? Maybe we end up there. So our thoughts and stuff, how do we get on the other side of the fence and say, I'm the one in control of that, and I'm the one who gets to say how I frame things and what I do when I clear and become in tune.
We call this zero limits, and you've got that great headline right there at the top of the screen, zero limits. And then we use it for zero limits of mentoring. I think the goal of all of it is to get to what I'm calling zero. And zero is that point within yourself where the unhappiness, the judgments, the bitterness, the disappointments, the frustrations, the resentments, the lack of forgiveness is gone. Now, I'm one of the first to say we've got work to do because virtually all of us have something keeping us from zero. Ho'oponopono is a practice to help sweep away what's covering up zero. In some of my other work, like the New Awakening, and some of my books, like the Awakening Course, I walk people through a meditation that takes them to zero. At least temporarily, I can get them to the point where they can glimpse it. It's like opening up the windows or the blinds, and suddenly there's zero and they see it. And they may cover it right back up with thoughts and judgments and descriptions and meanings and memories and everything else. But I would say the goal, I would use the word serenity. We want to have that experience of being at peace. And for virtually all of us, we're rarely, if ever, there and almost never stay there. But the goal of zero limits mentoring, the goal of zero limits is to be at zero. So I think I would leave that as my answer, even knowing that it probably needs more description and people need to sit with it. But I would also argue that people's need for more description or meaning or explanation is part of the problem. Because all that meaning and explanation covers up zero. Yes. There's a famous talk I gave years ago. It's on YouTube, where I talk about Ho'oponopono. It's my introduction to Ho'oponopono, and I walk people through it. But I begin it with a great big whiteboard, and there's nothing on the whiteboard. And I start asking people, what are all the different ways that you can change? And as they tell me, I write on the board all these different ways to create change in yourself. And after 10 or 15 minutes, I look and say, what happened to the whiteboard? It's gone. It is covered with the black of commentary. Right. And that black of commentary, all that text, is what our thoughts are doing. We're overlaying zero. Yes. But behind all of it, and just like behind the whiteboard, and in that particular talk, you'll see me erase all the stuff to get us back to zero. So this is a big concept, and Vicki, thank you for asking about this, but it's part of what we explore each and every month in Zero Limits Mentoring.
And you say cover it up, and that's a cool thing, because this is an inborn deal.
Right.
I don't bestow this upon you. Joe doesn't bestow this upon you. The monks in India and Thailand up in the temples do not bestow this upon you. This is inborn. This is just part of being human. It's the same package, this co-creative ability that we have, the fact that we are this powerful co-creative unit, that's inborn. That's one of the things I want to get across is we're just shooing away the stuff, that that will reveal what you truly are, this beautiful gift from source, from the great something, from God, however you look at that. And the cool thing about the book and what Joe does and how I try to couch it is like, I'm a systems guy. So this stuff has to work for me systematically over and above the spiritual stuff. So if I can't resolve it in my mind sort of logically, kind of starts getting fuzzy and falling apart. So that's what I wanted to do with the 5 questions, is get people back to that kernel, to zero, where there is no sort of energy either way, and you've got the ability for all things to be possible, and it's your decision for what makes your life. And
I love
so
it. I love it. I want to say as a reminder, so that we can end here in a minute, Chuck. First of all, zerolimitsmentoring.com is free. So you can go ahead and join now. And the very first thing, besides access to what's there in terms of that information and inspiration and the group experience and the fellowship and the leading to get you to take action, is this coming Wednesday is the first Wednesday of the month. So you'll be able to participate with an Ask Joe Anything. And
yep.
that's where Chuck and I will go for a full hour, usually over it, to take every question that comes in, and we do our best to dissect it and completely explain it. And then the following Saturday, 1 week from today, is when we create the 5 questions book live. So you'll get to watch as he tells me what it is. I respond, and neither one of us know how it's going to unravel, because we're doing it out of trust and faith and improvisation. So if you join now, that's going to carry you through the next 14 days. That'll give you all of what we've been talking about, and hopefully that you like it enough that you'll stay. And as Chuck points out, it's under $20 a month.
Yeah.
And that's after the 14-day freebie.
Yeah. And that, I mean, that's, we did this today because we wanted to show you exactly. I mean, this is, if you loved this session here, if you like this style, Tiger asked a question, is the mentor going to be one of you guys? It's going to be both of us. So you get both of us on that first Monday, you get me on the second and third, and we talk about the business and the marketing and anything else. We have special guests. Sean's going to come on the next Wednesday. We're going to talk about the best way for people to start from scratch. People come in, they want to do their brand new business, and I'm going to walk through it with Sean and make sure that we give everybody the right information from an 8-figure internet marketing guru himself. So we bring guests in. Harry Be Happy. If I feel like we need to do some spiritual cleaning, I bring Harry in, and we do the gongs, and we do meditations, and we get into the esoteric Buddhist monk kind of stuff. So we go all over the place in Zero Limits. And I just love it. I mean, I love helping. I love being on the phone with Joe and Tiger. Yes, you get both of us and anybody else that we can bring to the table that we think y'all need to hear from. So there's also a Zero Limits Facebook group. So we have a live Facebook group. When you become part of Zero Limits Mentoring, there's a Facebook group that's a private Facebook group that everybody joins, that during the week and stuff, we do site reviews and actually work on stuff, people's projects. People do all kinds of stuff, ask questions that come up. So, I mean, it's just wonderful seeing all the comments and the questions today. Thank you all so much for being here. And
thank you, Chuck. Thanks for always running the show here and being behind the scenes and the wizard behind the curtain that makes it all happen. All I do is show up. He makes it possible.
And that's one of the cool things about the book. Is one of the things I'm going to show you is how do you structure an ask. How did I do it? How did I get Joe to say yes to this? Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody out there is going, man, I'd like to do that. Well, I'm going to show you how. And so when you structure an interview or a book or, Joe or anything else, you have that blueprint as well. How to sign up with PayPal. You should be able to sign up with PayPal. If not, hit me up and we will get you taken care of. I'll be going through the chat window today, Joe, and answering any questions about signing up if you have any questions. And, go sign up, zerolimitsmentoring.com. And like I said, it's the easiest, fastest, quickest way to work with Joe. I can't believe he does it for the price that he does it. And it just shows that he's out there helping. He wants you guys to succeed. And Joe's on a mission to inspire, ignite, and inform. And Joe's not called Mr. Fire for no reason. Tiger, I'll get you helped out. We'll get you hooked up. So anybody who's having an issue, if the credit card, for some reason, some of the countries all over the world have some different issues with some of that. But anybody that wants to sign up that's having an issue, leave a link in the chat and we'll get you taken care of. Otherwise,
we're done for the moment.
Sign up. Hold on. Let me put a link in here.
Yeah.
And here is the link for Zero Limits Mentoring, everybody. And if not, we will get you hooked up. And so I will drop the link in after we go here. Let me drop it one more time just for that. Okay, it's saying we can't. Okay. So, Tiger, I'll get you hooked up, and anybody else, we will get you hooked up. We want you to be in. We think it's a wonderful program. Joe, thank you again, as always. Going over and above. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for everybody on the chat for your questions. And I hope y'all saw that, just like in the group, if you didn't get your answer directly, you got it from somebody else and asking a similar question. So that's what happens in the group. And Joe, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chuck. And thank everybody for spending time with us. We made this almost an hour and a half when neither one of us knew it, but we just go with the flow. So I will see you all in zerolimitsmentoring.com. I'll see you on Wednesday if you join the group, and I'll see you on next Saturday if you join the group, so you can see it. Book being created live before your eyes.
I need to see if Guinness has got a world record for the world's fastest book. Just thought.
All right. Godspeed to all of you. Expect miracles.
Absolutely.